The issue of hygiene and sanitation is closely related to people anywhere in any point of history. As a ritual symbol of purification, water plays a key role in the public space of hygiene and sanitary activities, as well as in almost all religions, past and present. From the first moment mankind invented rituals and deities, the notion of purification was attached to the act of ritual ablutions. Therefore, the very act of washing was not only about cleaning oneself from dirt. It also freed one from spiritual impurities. We are familiar with some of the demons that were said to have lurked in the toilets. However, during the 3rd millennium BCE, when toilets and sewers were invented throughout the world, these toilets and baths also have deities guarding them. Although the demons are fascinating, the guardians of the latrines are just as important as they are those who protect us from the dangers that lurk in the privy. Understanding the guardians of the latrines also helps us understand the different cultural attitudes relating to health and cleanliness, many of which have survived since the ancient times, and many of which place particular importance on the appropriate maintenance of the lavatory in every household. To illustrate the importance placed on the maintenance of the toilet, Nepal's My Republica published an article this year that in Bajang, the toilets are off-limits to women at least during menstruation and during post-delivery period, as they believe that the deities despise menstrual blood. This may seem strange as toilets are generally viewed as dirty. The proverb of cleanliness being next to godliness is popularly credited to John Wesley's 1778 sermon, as well as to writings in the Talmud. Washing oneself in clear water before paying homage to the gods and deities became part of the ceremonies in many ancient religions. In ancient Egypt, people washed their faces and hands before praying to the goddess Isis, and the priests bathed their bodies at least twice every night and twice during the day. According to Christian author Tertullian, circa 155 to 240 CE, the water had inherent natural cleansing properties, and as an essence of holiness, water could remove all taints and open the way to the new state of existence. In India, water had the power of giving life, strength, and purity. The followers of Brahma bathed once or twice a day and rinsed their faces and hands several times a day. Hinduism imposed on its followers the duty of ritual bathing in the waters of the rivers, which are still regarded as sacred. In the Jewish religion, the ritual bath, mikvah, was ordered by Moses, although the mikvah is not technically a cleansing bath, as one should be thoroughly washed before using it. Muslims wash their hands, faces, and feet before each of the 5 obligatory prayers in a day. Ablutions in the fountain are executed when they pray along the way because, as Sahih Muslim says, cleanliness is half the iman, faith. The Islamic culture led to the development of the ancient idea of public baths. However, the hammam, from the Arabic word hamma, means to warm, known to us today as Turkish bath, carries with itself more than just a bath. Practices of the hammam are an integral part of the Turkish and Arabic lifestyle. In the hammam, it is considered possible to clean the body as well as to relax and to recreate. Sulis is the local goddess of the thermal springs that still feed the spa baths at Bath, England, which the Romans called Aquae Sulis, the waters of Sulis. Her name appears on inscriptions discovered at Bath as well as outside of Britain at Alsace, Germany. About 130 cursed tablets, mostly addressed to Sulis, have been found in the sacred spring. The text on the tablets offered to Sulis typically relates to theft. Sulis is typically requested to impair the physical and mental well-being of the thief through the denial of sleep, the cessation of normal bodily functions, or death. In the Japanese culture, the bath is dominant in most areas of life. It has also become a model indicator of family and social organization. The development of commercial bathhouses occurred at the turn of the 16th and 17th century CE. By the 19th century CE, there were 600 public baths in the capital of Japan alone. Public baths were the most popular meeting place as it was considered a way to meet new friends and for different social classes to interact with each other. the bath was also of vital importance for the Japanese gods. After escaping from the world of the dead, the god Izanagi took a bath in the river to wash away death from his body. It was also said that Izanagi initiated the tradition of washing one's hand before entering a Shinto shrine. The very existence of the toilet guardians would have been widespread, as long as the existence of the latrines. Very early toilets that use flowing water to remove the waste are found at Skara Brae in Orkney, Scotland, which was occupied from about 3100 BCE until 2500 BCE. The people of the Harappan civilization in Pakistan and northwestern India had primitive water-cleaning toilets that used flowing water in each house that were linked with drains covered with burnt clay bricks. The flowing water removed the human waste. Around the 18th century BCE, Minoan Crete improved the toilet by adding the capacity to flush. In 2012, archaeologists found what is believed to be Southeast Asia's earliest latrine dating back to 1500 BCE during the excavation of a Neolithic village in Rech Nui, southern Vietnam. It is very possible that each and every one of these cultures had toilet guardians of their own. In ancient Babylonia, demons and magic were important factors in dealing with medicine and curing diseases. The main Babylonian medical text, the Sakiku, a diagnostic handbook written by chief scholar Esagilkin Apli of Borsippa, describes a demon called Sulak. Sulak hides in places where its victims would be alone and vulnerable. Therefore, the best option for Sulak to hide and bide his time before striking would be the toilet. However, calling Sulak the lurker of the latrine or the demon of the privy may not have been completely accurate, as he functions as a guardian who is held responsible for causing strokes and seizures if toilet users do not abide by its bathroom standards of modesty and silence. A similar demon to Sulak appears in the Talmud, which referred to it as Shet Bet Hakise. According to the text, going to the privy alone and being respectful of Shet Bet Hakise by keeping quiet are key to avoiding his attack. Upon returning from a trip to the toilet, it was believed that one must walk at least half a mile away before having sexual intercourse to prevent Shet Bet Hakise from ensuring the children resulted from the sexual act to be epileptic. In the 1st century BCE, bathhouses and public latrines became a major feature of Roman infrastructure, and nearly all city dwellers had access to private toilets in their residences. Throughout the Roman Empire, spells meant to ward off demons were scrawled on lavatory walls. The Roman goddess of fortune, Fortuna, seems to have had a special relationship with toilet users, as people prayed to her for their safety on the toilet. The waste water from latrines, along with what came out of private homes, was collected into a giant sewerage system originally built by Etruscan engineers and improved by the Romans called Cloaca Maxima. The goddess who presided over the good functioning of the sewerage system is Cloacina, named from the Latin word cloaca, sewer. Cloacina was assisted by city officials called aediles, who were in charge of supervising and improving the sewerage system. Titus Tatius, the king of the Sabines from Curis, was said to have built a shrine to Cloacina in his toilet and invoked her when the sewers became blocked. Cloacina was later merged with the better-known goddess Venus and was worshipped at the shrine of Venus Cloacina in the Roman Forum. A deity of flatulence were also said to have existed in the form of Crepitus, who was invoked if a person had diarrhea or constipation. The earliest mention of a god of flatulence is as an Egyptian deity which, from an author of a satire dubiously attributed to Pope Clement I. Scholar Robert Burton, 1577 to 1640 CE, in The Anatomy of Melancholy, mentions a god named Crepitus Ventris, among a variety of other deities believed to be worshipped in classical antiquity. In the early 5th century CE, Saint Augustine of Hippo, in De Civitate Dei, the City of God, men-tied Sterquilinus, the god of dung, who was particularly important to farmers when fertilizing their fields with manure. As the people were often at some risk of falling into the toilet and drowning in Japan, the protection of the toilet god was sought to avoid such a fate. The toilet god also promotes fertility, as human waste was collected and used as fertilizer. Traditionally, rituals were performed at the New Year to ask the Kawaya Kami, toilet god, for help in producing a good harvest. As the toilet god was considered to be beautiful, the toilet in a household would be nicely decorated and kept as clean as possible. There was also a belief that the state of the toilet in the house would affect the physical appearance of unborn children. Pregnant women would ask the toilet god to give boys a good nose and to give the girls dimples. A dirty toilet would lead to ugly and unhappy children. Another tradition claimed that the toilet god is a blind man holding a spear. Therefore, it was important for the user of the toilet to clear their throat before entering to alert the blind god of their presence, and maintained a deferential and non-threatening behavior as long as they are in the toilet god's domain. The cult of Zigu, also known as the Purple Goddess and the Lady of the Latrines, cult originated in the Shaanxi region and spread across China by the Tang dynasty. Zigu was the beautiful wife of an actor in the Tang dynasty 618 to 907 CE. They lived happily until a high-ranking minister named Li Jing fell in love with her, killed her husband, and took the unfortunate Zigu to be his mistress. Li Jing's wife was very jealous. One day, as Zigu was relieving herself on the toilet, Li Jing's wife leapt out from behind a pile of toilet paper and murdered her. From that moment, Zigu's spirit was trapped in Li Jing's lavatory, until the Jade Emperor blessed the ghost of Zigu and elevated her to godly status. Perhaps due to the thoughtful navel-gazing which takes place in the bathroom, Zigu is also known as the goddess of spirit writing, inspiring mediums with messages from the astral plane. Women worshipped her in the form of a homemade doll on the 15th day of the first month of the year. They would say prayers to the doll to tell her that her attackers had gone and that she could now safely appear.